Sheila, thank you so much for coming to the stage with us.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the prize. If you haven't read the novel, I've mentioned before, it's for sale out there. But it's a marvelous, marvelous novel, and all of us on staff have had a great joy reading it. So thank you for writing it. Thank you for bringing it into our little Writer Center world. Your novel's set in a magical version of Coney Island, and I understand that's where you grew up, correct?
That's right.
What was it like growing up in Coney Island? I can't imagine.
Well, most of the time it was pretty ordinary. I mean, during the school year, it was just like any place else. But there was this place we could go to, which, I don't know, was pretty fascinating to me as a kid.
Okay. Well, how much of your book is just magic invention on your own part, and how much is based on your real experiences with spending time in Coney Island? How'd that balance work out?
Well, spending time in Coney Island probably, I don't know, it was mostly atmosphere. It wasn't particular events. There really was a bar on the boardwalk like that, which really did fascinate me as a child. Like the boardwalk would be dark and there'd be like lots and lots of people there, and then there'd be this light coming out of this bar, and then this music, and these adults drinking, and it was like very forbidden, and it had a fascination for me.
Because I mean, it feels like a lot of the magic of the novel is derived from that feeling. That feeling seems to sort of create the whole. I mean, magic isn't even necessarily the right word, but does that make sense? Yeah, okay, that's good. Another thing too is, I mean, obviously they were saying, we didn't necessarily judge this novel based on the artwork, which is gorgeous. This piece here, it usually has a very prominent place right now in renovations. We still love it. And we have another one of your prints up in right when you walk into the downstairs room right now. How did the artwork influence the writing? How did your experience as an artist and a graphic designer influence how you became a writer?
Okay, the artwork came first, and a lot of the artwork isn't even related to the novel. It's just things that were in my head about Coney Island. So we moved to Memphis 20-something years ago, and I used to be a graphic designer, and then I phased out my graphic design business because my husband got a job as a professor. And so the idea was that I would paint full-time, and I decided to do a series of paintings based on Coney Island. And so I did the first painting, and that painting determined the shape of all the other ones, the literal shape. Maybe it wasn't the best shape because it's not a standard shape, but once I started, I couldn't change it.
I mean, it works well though. There's something, yeah, I like it a lot. How did the illustrations influence your writing? Do they feature writing at all?
Well, then at some point back there, I decided I was going to write down my memories of Coney Island, my family, and the different stories that happened. Sort of, a lot of writers start that way. They start with their, the things that happened to them when they were kids. And at first, I wasn't writing fiction. It was just like a memoir. And then I thought, well, maybe I can make this into something publishable. But I realized it was like fairly dull, for something publishable. And so I decided to turn it into fiction. And for a long time, it was really separate stories that only were related by the fact that they took place in Coney Island. So there was strange family stories and ordinary family stories and supernatural stories. I can't even remember when I decided to turn it into a novel. After a while, I said, well, maybe I can unite this. I eliminated so many stories and so much stuff, and a lot of it was like really, really good, but it didn't.
Well, when are we going to see those?
Maybe never.
Oh, that's sad. Well, what are you writing now? What is your current project?
Okay, so then I started another novel. It's called The Time Artist, and it's I haven't written a log line for it yet, but it's something like, it's a time-traveling art student murder mystery that's really about the nature of consciousness and time.
You've already won me, and I'm not joking, that is totally up my alley as a writer and a reader, so please finish that soon so I may get a copy of that.
Okay.
And could you recommend a book for the audience? What's a book that's meant something to you or that you've thought about lately?
Well, I would highly recommend Kevin Baker's Dreamland, which was inspirational to me, and it's a book that takes place in Coney Island.
Great. Well, please share some of Coney Island Book of the Day with us right now. Thanks.
Okay. I've never done this before. Can people hear me? You can hear me out there, right? I was kind of torn between reading 8 minutes or 3 minutes. So I guess I'll try the 8 minutes and see if, I don't know, see if it's not too terrible. Coney Island, Memorial Day, 1957. The kind of night when neon signs dust the boardwalk with light like powdered jewels, when foghorns and roller coaster screams drown out the brush beat of the surf, when the ocean's salt breeze smells of vast windy skies, great clouds of mist roll in on the waves, and the lighthouse at Norton's Point shines a beacon for ships lost at sea. It was that kind of night, a night like every night in the City of Fire.